Good morning, everyone. Coco and I are here this morning to give you a greeting and tell you happy last day of July. Today's the 31st of July, and I am tickled to death to be able to come and tell you that I have completed my whip go. So I'll share my board with you. That completion of July's final call gave me a bingo on that board as well. This is my generic whip go board. So now I have my sampler for all seasons and Old Glory on this board, and on this one I have Nativity for next month. So there you go. I had finished already Joyful Scene. So how exciting is that? So let's show what I did to accomplish that. My final July whip go pull was the July wordplay, and I got started on it. Actually started it while I was stitching with my friend Juliana at her house, and when I picked it up yesterday, I got more work done on it, and then today I finalized the 5 hours. I counted the time that it took me to start it, to count it out, where to put it, because I'm working it on a piece of fabric where I've done 2 other word plays. There's one here, and one over here, as you can see. So I had to make sure I had plenty of room, from where I was before. And so I did that, got it started, and then I went ahead and started with the word fireworks in the corner, the top left corner, which is my preference. And then I went on down and got this word, which is shells. And then I just started the little fish, one right under the other, and went all the way to the bottom. So I have one whole side, just the first row, done from top to bottom. Isn't that neat? So it's all total 505 stitches, 5 hours, because some of that time was calculating and starting. So I counted all that time, even though it's only 505 stitches. So I have completed my whip go board calls for July, and now I can get started on folding my August ones into my plans and just get that done as I go. I think that's fun. Happy stitching, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dena. I am here to talk to you about my finishes that have not been FFO'd. So these are my finishes that are waiting on something to be done with them. In every case, I will do my best to share with you the name of the pattern and the designer if I can. If I know the color of the fabric, I'll give that to you as well. But I may not, because it's been a while and I may have gifted everything away and may not have a way to really look it up that well. If it's been a long time ago, I will have already put those records away in my storage. But if it's been in this year or last year, I should still have a card available to help me out. So if I look over to the side to read a little bit, please forgive me for doing that. I just want to make sure I can give you as much information as I can in case you might want to stitch one of these lovely things. So I will start with the first one. It's called Sewn in Friendship, and it's by Plum Street Samplers. It's on a 32 count Lugana called Cream. It's by Swigart. And I started this in December. Actually, it was a new year, new start. I started it with my friend Glow, and I finished it January the 7th. I think it's beautiful. The other half of this pattern that was designed by a different artist, had been stitched for me by a friend and had been gifted to me. So I wanted to stitch this one so that I would have the set. The difference is the person who stitched for me stitched 40 count, and so mine is on 32 count 2/2, and it's a little bit bigger, so I can't frame them exactly the same and put them right next to each other, but I could certainly put them in the same room. So that's my thought at this point. The next one that I have to share with you is called Pop's Filling Station, and it is from Little House Needleworks. It's on 32 count lamb's wool linen. I started it December 26th of 21, and I finished it January 13th of 22. I do have a little village on flat folds that are about 14 of these designs from this series, but I had to add this one because, and I changed it. It used to say Pop's Filling Station. It now says Sinclair Oil because my father owned a franchise when I was, before my time, before I was born, of Sinclair Oil, and I have pictures of his station and his employees there with him from Sinclair Oil. But my sister, my older sister, was a teenager when he owned Sinclair Oil, and I wasn't here yet. But that was in memory of my dad. And this was a kit. It was a wool kit. And it's a bonsai tree. Well, actually, it's a cherry blossom tree. And I did this piece for my husband. It's on white Aida, 14 count Aida. That's what came in the kit, and it is stitched with wool. And I did this for my husband because he and my son had hoped to go to Japan, and that was the year that my son started having health issues with his heart, and they weren't able to go. And so I have a Satsuma Street pattern all kitted up and ready to go for a pretty little Tokyo, but I'm not going to start it yet because they may or may not ever get to go. I'm not sad that I've stitched the cherry blossom tree, because one of the things that our hometown did, Macon, Georgia, was to become a sister city to a city in Japan that has a lot of cherry blossom trees, and we brought them over and have planted them all over the city of Macon, Georgia, and it has a festival every year, the town does, and it's huge. It's a huge festival, and it's called the Cherry Blossom Festival, and we've been to that many, many years. They had arts and craft fairs there. They have a food court there that you have different ethnicities of food, and we actually participated in that one year as a fundraiser for the hospice that I worked for. So we have a lot of memories with the cherry blossoms, and so even if my husband doesn't ever get to go to Japan with my son, that will mean something to him. And so it will not go to waste, but I am going to wait at least another year and see if they decide to go. My son is beginning to talk about travel again, and I think that would be awesome. This is the next one I want to share with you. It's quite old. This was stitched in, I'm not sure I have a date on here at all. I don't. This was stitched at least, oh, I do. Thank you. 2018. This was stitched as a round robin, and the people that were in the round robin were myself, Victoria from Victoria's Crafty Room, Kim, and Caroline. And these ladies, we picked a design, each of us picked a design to stitch on each one of these. And once you picked your design, then as you got the round robin to you, the person who sent you the piece would have sent fibers to go with it so that there was a color theme that they wanted. And I liked mine in this beautiful lavender and teal and blue. And so I stitched the first one and the border and then it went around to each person. So if I had to do it over again, had I known these two were going to do flowers, I would have done one of them up here and had Victoria do hers down here, so it would have been abstract, abstract, flower, flower. But you know, it doesn't matter. I have such great memories of doing this. When we got ready to give these back to our owners of each one, we met for lunch at a restaurant not too far from here, about a 45-minute drive from here, but we were all coming from different directions. Unfortunately, COVID did that place in, and it's no longer there, or we would go back because it was delicious. And I had thought that I would make this into possibly a project bag. And then I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do it. And then I wasn't sure I wanted the stitching to be exposed all the time and moved around and stored. And so I've just struggled with what I want to do with this because I love it and I want to take care of it. But I would love to be able to see it or use it. So recently you saw I started a July word play. Well, I have been stitching word plays, and the first one I did was February. And I did it on a beautiful, sparkly, you can almost see it right there, Ada. It's a violet color, beautiful, light violet. And I thought that would look good for Valentine's Day. And that's the first one that I did. And then I think this is the second one I did. And this is May. And this is just on a 32 count, no, 28 count Lugana in Summer Skies. Now, I've stitched two more that are in my project bag because I am now stitching a third one on that piece of fabric. And so they're not here for you to see. But I think that I am on, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'm on my fifth one, I believe. The next three I'm going to show you, I didn't stitch one right behind the other. I did stitch other things in between. But since they're all on the same piece of fabric, I'll show them to you at the same time. The first one is called Oh Christmas Tree. It's one of the Cranberry Christmas series by Hands On Design. And I am stitching this on 32 count Lugana on light taupe. So that was the first one that I did on this fabric. And then I did this one. And then I did this one. And then in New Jersey, I started the Cranberry Christmas pillow. I stitched the first 3 letters in the white as called for. But while I was in Alabama recently, I saw someone who had stitched that pillow converting the letters to red instead of white. Gorgeous. So I'm going to be starting that one over. So I'm going to, let me zip this up, please, before my sulky threads fall out so that I don't lose that. And I'll put that back over in my to be started file. The next one I'm going to share with you is called Welcome Home. This is on 32 count Lugana Mummy by Be Stitch Me. And I started this April 26th of this year and I finished it August 2nd. This was one of my first start-alongs with my friend Dena and her friend at the time Mary, and now my friend Mary. So I haven't framed this yet, but I think when I do, I will put this possibly in my entryway somewhere where it can be seen. That's the thought anyway. The next one I want to share with you, I finished before 21, and unfortunately it is still here. But this is called Holy Night, and it's long and narrow. I think it's lovely. It was actually called for to be on 11 count fabric, and I didn't have any. I used 14 count Aida. So the buttons are almost too large, but they fit pretty well. So now I just have to figure out what I'm going to put this on. I actually picked out something I thought that would work at an antique kind of resale shop, and I brought it home and it was too short. It wasn't tall enough. So now I have to go back to the drawing board. So probably we'll take this to Hobby Lobby with me and see if I can find something that's a pretty board or a picture frame or something, you know, that has words on it that you can put over it, so I can get that one for this Christmas. I would kind of like to do that. Another one I finished before this year was this one. And this is a drawn thread, and I believe it's Winter Garden, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't have a card on it any longer at my fingertips. But this is to be made into a pillow. I just have to find the perfect fabric for that, because I'm making each of the seasons and I'm making them a pillow so that I can either put them in my replica of a dough bowl or I can put them on my mantle, and I'm trying to finish them similarly so that they can occupy a similar space. The next one I have to share with you is called Early Christmas Morning. It's a Blackbird design, and I stitched this between July 22 and November 22. It's on 13 count Lugana, and the color is Peanut by Bestitch Me. And I have used that peanut. The rest of it is what I'm stitching my Casting a Spell on. So I just cut off this little corner here, and my thoughts are that I might make this into a round top for a box, you know, for a round box. I just haven't found that yet. The next one I want to share with you is When Santa's Away, and it's a Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread. It's on 32 count Lugana, white tee by Color and Cotton, and I started it July 27th in Christmas in July, and I finished it 11/9/22. Now, I haven't put the white batting for the top of the shoe cuff yet, because I'll do that when I fully finish it. But this is lovely, and I hope to have it ready in time for this Christmas. That would be nice. So this one you may remember. This is Christmas Sentiments. And it was finished this year. So this was a Stoney Creek design that I stitched on 28 count Mocha by Silk Weaver. It was started on 7/12/22, and I finished it February 1st of 23. And I did it on the called for size because it has a lot of beads in between all the flowers up there. So I think this is lovely. I had thought about making this a pillow because I thought it would just be so pretty to put up on top of like the bed or in a chair. But then I thought maybe people rubbing up against the beads and the threads would not be the thing to do. So I think I'm going to change my mind, and I think I'm actually going to make this a framed piece now that I've had time to think about it. So the next one I want to show you is When I Think of Stitching. This one was so much fun to do. And this is by Puntini. It's on 32 count Lugana. The fabric is a Fortnite fabric. It's called Mind Blowing. And I started this on January 1 of 23, another new year, new start. And I finished it April 19th of 23. I think that's lovely. And I'm planning on framing it and putting it on my stitching wall. I have a wall next to the stairway coming up. You can see the door right there to come into my room here. And all the frame pieces in that hallway are about stitching. And so that would fit in with that grouping just fine. The next little piece I want to share with you is called Alphabet Dog. It's a JBW design. I did mine on a little tiny scrap of 28 count Jaslyn in almond. I used silk pearl cotton in Showgirl's Kiss for the thread. Started at May 1st, finished at May 1st. A one-day stitch, a start and finish in one day. I think this is precious. I'm probably gonna pop it in a little frame and put it on my shelf up there that I have all of my cocoa pieces on. The next one, I think you guys have watched me stitch ever since I started it last August, so it is fortunate that I finished it when I did, or it would be celebrating a birthday. I started it August 12th, 22, and I finished it May 2nd, 23. And this is I Am a Needlesmith. It's from By the Bay. It's on a 32 count Lugana. My color is unknown. It was a fabric of the month by Be Stitch Me. And I don't remember the name of it, or it didn't have a name on it when I got it. I don't think it had a name on it. Might have been a solo dye or something, but that is my I Am a Needlesmith. Again, that needs to be framed and put on my stitching wall. The next one I have to show you is called Elf Stocking, because I got this motif off of a stocking that had an elf laying down below her, and he was balancing that little ball on his feet. But I just wanted to do her as an ornament for my friend for this Christmas, and that's how I hope to finish it. So I'll put that in here. I got several Christmas finishes that need to be finished up. So that was on a 32 count even weave. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that. It's called Mushroom with Brown Dots. It's a silk weaver fabric. I started it January 20th of 23, and I finished it May 6th of 23. All right, this next one I want to share with you is on a beautiful fabric. And it is actually called Morning Dew by Wilchelt. It's a 32 count Jobelin. But this is a Zindagi design, and this is Floral Golden Doodle. This hasn't been that long ago. I finished it May 26th. I started it on the 24th, and I finished it on the 26th. And again, it will go on my doodle shelf, my cocoa shelf up there. The next one I have for you is a very tiny piece called In the Meadow. And I did it on a little itty bitty scrap of summer skies to look like a winter sky. And it says in the meadow we can build a, and then there's a snowman. It's like a picture word. And I was thinking I might make this one into a little tiny pillow. But then again, it's 3D, so I just don't know. Maybe I'm thinking a pillow because the frame, I would have to leave it open if it was in a frame, which is okay. But that's a 32 count Jobelin Summer Sky fabric, and I did that, of course, in one day, May 29th. And then I picked up this Lizzie Kate, which is a Turkey Time. It's on 32 count Lugana Bronze Age by Be Stitch Me. I started it on June 4th and finished it June 15th. I think that's precious. Absolutely precious. You can tell that I cut a piece off because I zigzag because I don't have a serger. So this is what came on the fabric when I got it from Be Stitch Me, and this is the sides that I had to do once I cut it off. But I really like that, and I was thinking that might be cute as a little tabletop, table tent folds kind of thing. The next one I'll share with you, I just finished recently. It's called Be Mine Always. I just finished it in Alabama, actually. And that's supposed to be for my husband for Valentine's Day. So I have a little time to finish it. My thought is that I would frame it. Last time I stitched him something for Valentine's, I put it in a little box, the inside of the top of a box. And so he keeps it by his bedside and he puts his keys and things in it. But he doesn't need another one of those. So I'll probably either make it a tabletop or a pillow or maybe even just a little frame that I can put back on the bedside table during Valentine's Day. I finished this one, Unto Us a Child, while I was on a cruise this year. And it is stitched on a Picture This Plus fabric called Legacy. It's 32 count Lugana. And I think that's a really pretty Christmas piece. It's a little too large for an ornament, but I think it would make a really pretty pillow for the dough bowl. This one you watched me stitch. This is on 32 count Lugana Mountain Mist. I left it taped or pinned here because I think I'll be able to cut a piece of this off and still have enough to make an ornament or something. But this is a Teresa Kogut, and I think it's, the name of it is Joyful Scene. It was on my Whip Go board and I finished it early and that number got called this month. So here's my proof that I had already stitched it. So it's already been done. And then last but not least is the one I finished at Retreat in Alabama as well. And it is Sweet Land of Liberty. And it is on Meadow by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And my plan is to make this one into a tall pillow so I can put it in my dough bowl, especially for 4th of July kind of time frame is what I'm thinking. So that's my bin of shame. I do have a few more things you haven't seen today. I have 3 of the 6 that I'm going to do pieces from the Sew Together series by Jeanette Douglas, and they're in the project bag with the next one that I'm to start. And those are in my Whip Go box because it's part of Whip Go for me to start the other 2 of those 6 that I'm doing. I'm going to frame them 3 in one row in one frame and 3 in a row in the second frame so I can put them up together as companion pieces. And so I'm trying to keep everything together. So they haven't made it to my bin of shame yet. And since they are still being worked on, I don't let them count the same. I'm not waiting to finish them. I have to finish stitching them before I can fully finish them. So you have it there. So not horrible, but it's starting to pile up a little bit, as you can see. I've got a couple of flat folds I need to do, and then I've got a couple of pillows I need to do, and then I got lots of framing I need to do. Depends on what I have available and what's ready to go. So I'll keep you posted as I work through that. But since so many people were sharing what they had stitched and what was in the wings waiting to be fully finished, I thought I would do that as well. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hello everyone, good evening. It is August 1st and I am here to talk with you about my stitching today, how things have been going, and a little bit about my plans for stitching this month, maybe even just this week. But I want to talk to you a little bit about it. I am in a new group, and you know that are doing sort of an AB Singo kind of thing every month. And today was the first day called, and it was Miss Christmas Eve. My goal for that little group is 100 stitches on whatever's called every day. And so I pulled out Miss Christmas Eve today to get 100 stitches in her. And then I looked, and I did. I got the 100 stitches, and I posted it in my group, and so all is well, and I met the requirements today. Then I looked at my other acrostics because they're all out now. And I've got my Daily 30 acrostic, which is Beach Lover. And then I had already gotten the magazine monthly challenge of Roots. And then the 24-hour of cross stitch challenge is out as well. And it is spontaneous. So when I looked at those, I had an E in the 24 hours of cross stitch for Miss Christmas Eve. And I also had an E in my Daily 30 acrostic, which was Beach Lover, the E in beach, for Miss Christmas Eve. Well, my Daily 30 group, as you know, if you've watched me very long, requires 300 stitches. So after I posted the first 100 for my small group in my retreat goers, I added an additional 200 stitches so that I could count Miss Christmas Eve as complete for both my Daily 30 challenge acrostic and for my 24 hours of cross stitch acrostic. So this hit 3 different prompts today, and I'm excited to show you what I got done. I came over here and I did a lot more in this section over here. I did some of the dark green, and then I did some of the dark, almost red brown, and 2 shades of this beautiful red color. I think this is forming a flower that's on the end of her skirt, something like that. Anyway, and then I came back over here and I did that same red brown. I continued it all the way down here. There's one more section of it, but I didn't want to go that far. I didn't want to miscount, so I just did everything I could get to easily. And then I had exactly 296 stitches. So I came in here, if you can see them, there are these little 4 stitches here and here, and then there was one up here in the center that was this color. And I went ahead and got all those done up close to that top of that skirt, and I wound up getting 305 stitches. So I've made my goal on Miss Christmas Eve for the acrostics. So I'm very happy about that. I tried to do big blocks of color and, you know, strands of color as I could to get 300 stitches because there's just a ton of confetti in here. And as you can see, there's lots of open places for beads. You have to count so carefully in there. So I tried to do the best I could to get good blocks of color since I was going after 300 stitches today. But I'm glad I hit it. Happy about that. Now our call for our little bingo for tomorrow is actually going to be my autumn bell pull. Now we can work on these the day they're called, or we can catch them up later, but just can't go ahead of time because we don't know what they are. And that's just not allowed. So I may or may not work on autumn bell pull tomorrow because I'm having a guest. And that is a harder one to work on when you have company. But I'll let you know what I decide on, what I'm in the mood for tomorrow. But I'll look at my prompts and I'll see what I could stitch on that might be easier, you know, to do while I'm talking and visiting. So I hope you're going to have a great week of stitching. This is the early part of the week, so you know, look ahead, plan ahead, at least for tomorrow. Decide what you're going to do and share it with me. I love getting comments from you guys when you tell me what you're working on and what you're doing and how you're progressing on it. So please feel free to share that in the comments anytime. I enjoy reading it. I read every one of them. I try to answer every one of them if I can. So there you have it. That's the news for the day. Happy stitching, everybody, and I hope to talk to you tomorrow. Good night. Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Dena. It is the 2nd of August, and I'm here to tell you what I've been working on today. I had the privilege of stitching with a friend today. Juliana came over and we were stitching from about 10 until 2:30 today. But I got started this morning stitching for my called prompt on my little private bingo, which was my Autumn Bell pull for day 2 in August. But Autumn Bell pull wasn't just for my bingo. It is also for an A in the 24 hours of cross stitch acrostic that is spontaneous. It's the A in spontaneous. And in my daily 30 group, it was also the A in the word beach. So daily 30 means 300 stitches. So again, I did my first 100 stitches. I posted it in my my bingo group, and then I pulled it back out. I'll remind you of what it's gonna look like at some point. I'm working on this final letter, and this is where I got to today. Isn't that great? I finished this all the way down to where it met up with this part of the end, and I was able to go ahead and get that done. And then I got down to here, and I had already completed 308 stitches, and I only needed 300. So I made myself stop because I want to spend the rest of my stitching time today, whatever it may be, working on something else. I have something I want to finish this month. I don't think it'll be any surprise when you hear that it's Kringles. I have one room left to do. I will not get it all done in a day. So I figure after I work on my goal for each day for my bingo, and then if that same piece is on any of my acrostics, I'll complete that at the same time. And then anytime I have left, it'll be sort of like Sarah. Sarah has extra stitching time sometime. And she has things designated that if I have any extra stitching, this is what I'm going to work on. So Sarah, I'm borrowing that. I don't think you'll mind. And I'm going to work on my Kringles in my extra stitching time each day. Now, I have Kringles on my bingo, so at some point it'll come up. But right now, I'm just going to be giving it a stitch at a time, a little, maybe a strand at a time, just to get some of it done, to make sure I finish it this month. But there you go. That's my Autumn Bell pull. The letter itself is almost finished. It's time now to start the leaves so that I can get these leaves in the middle right here done, because then I can do the little part here and I can finish that out, and then I can do the poem and get it in place. Then I can do all of this confetti heavy stuff right in here. I may swap it out a bit. I may do maybe a leaf and then some words, and then a leaf and some words, just to break up the confetti a little bit. I might do that. So I wanted to share that with you. It is around supper time. I need to go make some dinner, and then I will come back hopefully this evening if I can and put in a little bit of stitching into my Kringles. In the meantime, until I have more to share with you, happy stitching, everybody. Hello everyone, welcome. Today is Saturday, August the 5th, and I'm here to give you an update on what I've been working on in the last couple of days, a little bit of a life update, and I guess a little bit about plans going forward. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about what I've been stitching. I decided to work on Kringles. I'm getting so close to a finish, right? So I had one room left, this one right here, when I got started on it. And I worked on it for a prompt. and I completed the prompt. The prompt was in my little bingo game that I'm doing with a few friends, and it was to work on your piece closest to a finish, and that was this one. So I put 100 stitches in it, posted that picture, and then I couldn't put it down. I just kept working on it, and I kept working on it for 2 days, and that's all it took. So yeah, I can show you Kringles. It's hot off the roll frame, and if you notice, when you use the roll frame, you don't get a lot of wrinkles. I have not pressed this yet. I will, but I haven't yet. So this is my Kringles. I'll pull back and let you see the whole thing, and then we'll go through it a little bit so you can get a close-up look of it in case you're thinking of stitching this beautiful piece. This is fun to stitch. There are a lot of stitches, and a lot of people worry a bit about the roof, but what I did that really helped me, and I have shared this with a couple of people that are working on it, and I think they're going to try it, is I picked one color in that roof, and I worked it over a whole section of that one color because it's a pattern, and once you kind of catch on to the pattern, it's easy to keep going. Then I picked a second color, and you can do it in sections like I did, or you can do the one color all the way across, but I did it based on getting to a window and then getting between windows, and that's how I did it, sort of landmarks. Then I picked the second color and worked it across because that makes it look like the shingles, and it's just delightful. There's a third color down in the fence, or the little railing up there. That's in a pattern too. And then when you get to the brick, there's a lot of brick, but I did the mortar first. I just went and counted all the mortar across and down for each room. And then when I was on Zoom calls, I just filled in the brick because that's just mindless stitching once you've got the mortar in there. So that was a good way that I got through some of the big chunks of stitching as I went. I really did enjoy putting this on my finish it in 12-month plan where I, put sections down for each month. And I did really well for about 8 to 9 months of stopping it. I'd stitch that portion and then I would stop. And I think that was because I had so much left to do. It was like, oh good, I've got my part done this month, now I can go do something else. Knowing that if I came back to it every month, it would get finished by December. Then as I got on further down onto this row, it was like, okay, now I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it became harder and harder to put it away. And so I didn't. I kept stitching on it sometimes, and I would get ahead, and then I got a whole room ahead. And then I took it to retreat, and I did a lot of stitching on it at retreat. And then when I got home, I just kept on stitching on it. Every extra moment I had, I stitched on it because I was just loving it. I was having such a good time. There are not that many colors in this. It's not a huge amount of colors, so it's easy, to take with you, even though it's a larger size. It wasn't bad. So here's your nutcracker room. Here's the present. All the presents are in here. Here's your train room. It's got like a little village and the train around the tree. And then in this row, I think there's a little boys and a little girls room because this is all outside toys. Skates, fire engine, red wagon, bicycle, things that you might associate with a little boy, little girls too. But then over here, you've got your stuffed teddy bear, your stuffed bunny rabbit, your doll, your little bird in a bird cage, and a tea party. So I think that, and another little doll. So that to me sounded more like a little girl's room as far as the toys. And then here's your clock in the middle, sort of like a focal point for the decorations in the shop, or maybe, things for parents. for their home. Who knows? And then the bottom floor is toys and the bakery. You've got all these beautiful cakes and gingerbread men and cupcakes, pies, you know, just all sorts of little things in the window. Looks like the window of a bakery. And I mentioned before, I did the two deer just slightly different, one row different in this one to make it be a mom and her fawn, simply because of my neighborhood and how many mamas and babies we have all the time. That just was my little tiny personalization. So this little doll right here is a Raggedy Ann doll. We've talked about that before. I did not make this for my friend. This one's for me. But I did love it that it had a Raggedy Ann doll in it, because that will just be very special when she sees it, and it sort of represents a little bit of a personalization as well, even though I didn't have to do it. It was already there. I did personalize the colors. I changed the colors on the Raggedy Ann doll to be more what I'm used to seeing in her collection, with the blue dress. But other than that, I haven't personalized anything else in the piece. So I finished this last night. I came back and put all the eyes in. Some I did beads and some I did just French knots. When they were really small, I did beads. I'm sorry, I did French knots. And when they were more normal size people, little dolls that were bigger, the puppy that was bigger, the teddy bear that was larger, I used beads for those. But this little tiny doll right here, I did French knots. And I did French knots in one of these because they looked okay. These did not. I did the beads for her little eyes. So there you have it. Kringles, Little House Needleworks. This is fun stitch, and I am delighted to have it finished so early in the year. I'll give it a really good iron, and then I'll take it to be framed. I have to look and see if I have any frames that will fit it here before I go all the way custom. But I'm thinking I may have something. I've got so many larger frames here. I'll have to look and see. But I wanted to share that with you. Thank you for letting me show it to you. And I'll go into a little bit of a life update for you. Our stitching group at the library was invited to put up a display for the month of August of our needlework. This is the second year we've been invited to do that. We were able to pick between the months of August and December, and we picked August because we felt like December was going to be a very busy time of the year. It would also kind of lend itself more to Christmas pieces, and I wasn't sure everybody would have Christmas pieces ready to go. You have to have them framed with a wire on the back for the hanging system that the library has, and so that limited some of the people because they do a lot of their own framing, and they use either the saw teeth on the back or their own little way of hanging things doesn't always include a wire. So there were a lot that couldn't put their things up this year, and that was unfortunate. I hated that. But there were 3 of us who were able to contribute to the pieces in the library. Another change that I think reduced the number who could participate, in addition to the new hanging system at the library, is that the way that they like to swap their displays over, they want them changed out on the first of the month and the last day of the month. So on the last day of the month, people come and clear everything out, and on the first day of the next month, the new group comes in and puts all of their display up. So we were told we had to put ours up August 1st. Well, that's a work day. and a lot of our group still works, and they couldn't get here on the 1st. We did make arrangements to meet the librarian on Saturday the 29th if you needed to, but unfortunately nobody could be there then either, and nobody came. So that, I think, contributed to only 3 of us were able to get there on the 1st to contribute pieces. I knew there was a problem with that. I knew a lot of people couldn't be there, so I took a lot. I wanted the gallery to be full. I wasn't trying to hog the show or anything, but I wanted our group to be able to fill the gallery for them. And there were at least, I think, 14 hangers in the gallery that I counted. But we filled it up, and I want to thank Rosalind Farrow and Jessica Spencer for contributing pieces in addition to mine, and I will insert a clip here to let you see what it looks like at the library. I think it looks pretty nice. Here we are at the Hall County Library on Main Street here in Gainesville, where we meet up and stitch once a month. And this is the photo gallery where our group has been asked to display the fruits of our labor. There's Queen Elizabeth, Tara, there's a South African collage, the big fire, Winston Churchill, and then this is the Buckingham Grenadier. All of those were stitched by Rosalind Farrow. And then here's the Mice in the Kitchen, Brenda Gervais. This is Love by Glidden Place. Here's a familiar one for everyone, Cross Stitch Nation. Our Dogwood Lace. Those were stitched by me. And then these are 2 from Jessica Spencer. This is the Guardian Angel. And then this is your Angel of Mercy. Look how beautiful. You can see the gold in that. Oh, so pretty. I know that these are probably lavender and lace, if that's not mistaken. All right, don't let me make you as I turn around, but you can see that's the gallery all the way down the hall there, and then on the other side there's a small display here. This is Bewitched, Stoney Creek, and the Little House Needleworks neighborhood, my neighborhood, and then the Sleepy Hollow. All of these 3 were stitched by me as well. So we had a shortage of people contributing this year because we had to bring everything here on the first day of the month, August 1st, which was not a weekend, and a lot of people were at work and they couldn't make it here. So we'll have to figure out what to do about that next time so more people can participate. But this will give you a better view down the hall of the display. Thanks to everyone who brought artwork for us to display. Thank you so much for participating and helping us out. So that was quite an honor. If we had wanted to, we could put prices on them and sell them, but none of us wanted to do that. I'm not surprised, are you? The last thing I wanted to mention as far as a life update is that my husband took Coco on a lovely walk recently in our downtown area. We have a square downtown that has a beautiful park in the middle of it, and there are shops and restaurants all around the square, and now there's a beautiful apartment complex there that's condominiums, not apartments, but condominiums, and they have new restaurants in there, and they're just doing a lot of work, even making the square more vital and more vibrant, and it's just lovely to be a part of that. And right off of the square is an optometrist office, just down, not even a full block from the square. And my husband was walking Coco back to the car. They had parked at the library and walked up to the square and walked around the square. And as he's coming back to the car, he noticed that there were some beautiful murals on the outside walls of the building at the optometrist office. And he took Coco over to look at these photos, and he took some pictures of them for me, and he got a picture of Coco in front of one of them. And so I'm going to put that at the end for you as my Coco segment. But if you'll notice, all the themes in the pictures have something to do with optometry. Let's just put it at that. You'll get a kick out of seeing it, I think. So I wanted to share that with you. Well, I hope that you are having a great weekend. I hope you've had a good week of stitching. I certainly have. I'm still stoked about my finish. I can't wait to get it, to the framer, and can't wait to share it with you when it's done. But thanks for letting me wax on about it for a bit today. Enjoy what you're doing, and I hope you get lots of stitching in the coming week. And my plans are to do a little palette cleanser today. I want to catch up on my little game I'm playing with my friends from Alabama. We're doing our own little bingo, and I let yesterday's number slide, and they've already called the one for today, and I need to catch up. I was doing great, getting every day done. It's only 100 stitches on whatever gets called, and I was doing really well on that until we got the call on the 3rd of August to stitch on your whip closest to a finish, and that's what triggered me with, getting finishing Kringles. So now I need to do yesterday's number and today's number, and I haven't done those yet. So that'll be easy, 100 stitches each, and then I'll look and decide where I need to go from there. I have acrostics to work on, I have whip go to work on, and I've got some pretty big things to do in whip go this month. So I'll just regroup and decide where I'm going to go for next week, what I'm going to work on to meet my prompts, and you'll get to share that with me as we go. Thanks everybody for coming along the stitching journey with me. I appreciate you very much. I thank you for your comments. I have great comments, and I love talking with you in them. And thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it very, very much. Makes you feel like somebody out there is enjoying cross stitch, and they don't mind keeping up with me, and that's very flattering. So thank you for that. I will talk to you soon when I have something else to share, but I think I'm going to wrap it up for this video. So happy stitching, everybody.